Hey, welcome to Living Intentionally. Today we're going to be talking with Kira McCoy, a professional artist and instructor, number one international best-selling author, and certified transformational coach. She has a voracious appetite for self-expression, learning, and creativity. This former high school teacher from art turned into a multi-passionate online e-commerce and YouTube business owner, specializes in strategy and automation, creating opportunities to help business owners. Girl, you're gonna love it, so stay with us. Welcome to Living Intentionally, the podcast that empowers driven women to get unstuck and to take their personal and professional lives to the next level. I'm your host, Carmen Benton. I am here to help you create the life you truly desire without burning out. And as a leading expert in living with amplified alignment between your mind, your energy, and your soul purpose, I'll be sharing valuable insights on mindset, energy, self-care, business, and much more. Plus, you get to hear from inspired women who have successfully built businesses and lives that are both meaningful and fulfilling. Join us as we dive into the topic that matter most and uncover the secrets to living intentional. Hey, Kira. Oh my God, it's been such a long time. I'm so happy to reconnect with you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I love that intro to your podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank
It's
you.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank
I like what
you.
you're doing.
I feel like a grown up now. This is the second episode where I actually use my new intro. As I'm growing, my business, I have a team, a fantastic team that helps me do these things. Unlike you, I am not very artistic. so I'm so I'm so happy to have someone with creativity and all the talent that you have in the podcast today to, maybe I get a little bit by osmosis.
Okay. Soak it in.
Yes. So I read your beautiful bio, but they're always so impersonal. So I would like to invite you to tell us a little bit about yourself. What
Okay.
what is here all about?
Well, I am an artist. I'm a professional artist. From when I was very young, I started creating with my mother because she also was a crafter and an artist. Actually, I remember one day finding her portfolio in a corner and pulling it out and saying, "What is this?" And it was like these big, beautiful artworks that she had done. And she had given all of that up to be a mom and to not have a career. And later in my life, I felt like that was a little bit sad. So I express myself for a living. And, it started with my first job when I was 13. I was a summer camp counselor, and it just continued until I became a certified art teacher. And then, I had odd jobs because teaching art is a hard job to get.
Mhm.
If you know the American school system, there's one art teacher at every school, and they are
The
going to hold on to
underdog.
that.
The
Yeah.
underdog. Yes, yes.
hmm Yeah. So it was hard for me. So I had to do a bunch of odd jobs throughout my youth and career from graduating college until I was 35 when I finally got my first position teaching. And I had started building my business, Create Along, prior to that. And that's actually my podcast and my YouTube channel are actually what got me my position teaching in the school district.
Oh, wow.
So the title today, the Harnessing the Power of Saying Yes, I mean, all of these things kind of lead one into the other in my life. So I can see now, they say you can see how things were working out for you from the distance. You can't really see it while it's happening. So all those things led into one into the other. And I became a teacher, and then I left teaching behind because I became a business owner. And now I have a big, beautiful business that supports me. And I have an employee. Um, and now I help other people do that as well.
That's beautiful. And for everybody here who haven't seen Kira's art, she posts this in Facebook all the time, and they're mind blowing. I mean, literally, like this woman is talented.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. So I love this topic that we're discussing today, small steps, giant leaps, because many times I find, and I've been guilty of this in the past, we have this big dream, right? And
Mhm.
it's like, how do I go from A to W?
Yeah.
I like I can see the goal. I know what I want, but that leap is so scary. It's so big. It's so far removed to where you are today that
Mhm.
instead of saying, "Okay, I'm going with it," it's like, "Ooh," because I don't know how. I'm
Mhm.
just gonna stay here like a turtle and
Yeah.
pretend that I don't have this vision. But
Right.
but you have mastered how to do it little by little.
Yes.
So let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
Okay. So I read an article one time about building the plane like while it's flying. And I really resonated with that because my business started when someone in my life said, "Do you want to do a podcast?" Right? Back in 2006. And I said, "Sure, yeah, let's do a podcast." What's a podcast?
Welcome to the podcast.
Right. So at the time, I mean, I had never even heard of a podcast, and YouTube was only 1 year old. So I just said, okay, let's do it, and I learned little by little how to do the things. I mean, podcasting in 2006 was not like it is right now. It was
No.
kind of ridiculous. I mean, I had to find software and patch it together, and we were videotaping our YouTubes on a shoulder camera with tape that you had to like rewind and
I
fast
remember
forward.
those.
So it's not like we take for granted maybe that now we all have a microcomputer in our pocket called our phone,
Mhm.
and you can just whip it out and use it
Yeah.
to take video. I mean, we can video call. It's mind blowing the things that have happened in just our lifetime, right? So I love the technology and I like to adopt technology. So when someone said, "Do you want to do a podcast?" I just said, "Yeah, okay. I'll figure it out." One thing led to another. So I learned HTML. I learned how to make websites. I mean, once you had a podcast, then you need a website. So um, it was just one thing after another. And then a few years into having the podcast, I was still wanting to teach art. And I kept not being able to apply for jobs just because they weren't the right fit or whatever. And one day I saw a listing in the Broward County website that said they needed someone who could podcast, shoot video, edit HTML, and who was a certified teacher.
What?
Yeah. So I called them and I said, "I think that you wrote this job listing for me." So
I
I
was gonna say it's like we sometimes I was having this conversation with a client. The universe. It's the way I look at the universe is I have the most badass assistant in the planet.
Mhm.
And I just said, "This is what I want. Go get it."
Yeah.
Right. And then I forget about it because it's coming.
Mhm.
And I know my assistant's name is Peter. I know that Peter is going to bring me is either what I asked him or something better.
Mhm.
Right. So you had this intention. You wanted to be an art teacher. You wanted to teach.
Mhm.
But you still enjoy what you were doing because you didn't know. But like as you step into it, maybe perhaps this is my belief because I believe in the universe and it's always orchestrating everything for you.
Mhm.
You got into the podcasting because this other opportunity was going to happen and you needed to have that experience,
Yeah.
right?
It was
So, oh,
true. I mean, once I called them and I got the job literally that lunch break that day is when I went to interview and I got the job.
yeah.
So, um and then I taught for 5 years, and the whole time I was teaching and I was building this business. And then because I'm a rebel, and like I was always in
No.
trouble. I was in trouble at school. I mean, I I don't like to say bad things about school and teaching, but it's difficult if you have a like a progressive personality. It can be difficult to work in that system,
Mhm.
and it was hard for me because I did everything I was supposed to do, but I felt like I was always in trouble. And I felt like someone was always over my shoulder, kind of holding me back from expressing my full true self. So eventually I did leave that. Maybe the fact that they laid me off every single year, 5 years in a row, every July led to that, because it was just rough at the time. But all the whole time I was building and building and building to the point where after I taught in school, I was able to teach online more effectively. So the thing that took me from it was just a YouTube channel,
Mhm.
right? And then when I quit teaching, I had the time and the expansiveness to say, now I need to make money. And I I decided that I had seen other people doing these collaborative summits and that I wanted to do one and I wanted to charge money for it. And I called everybody that I knew because I had a podcast, right? So I had done this with all the experts in my niche. And I called them and said, "Do you all want to contribute to this thing I'm going to put together?" And 24 of them said yes. So, put together this online classroom, sold it for a very affordable price, and went from making no money to making six figures the next month.
Beautiful.
So, and then people will say to me, "Oh, wow, you had a six-figure launch." And I'm like, "Yeah, that six figures took 7 years to create because it was, YouTube and blogging and learning all of that fundamental stuff." So there still really is no get rich quick
Right.
scheme, right?
Absolutely. I love what you're saying is that next stepping stone. So I have changed my orders to the universe, my dictation to Peter from get me to, the end of the bridge to show me the next stepping stone.
Yes.
What is the next thing I need to do? What is that next journey? What is that next skill? What is that next interaction with a person? Who do I need to rendezvous with today
Yes.
for whatever reason? And I literally do that with everything. I was in Hawaii 2 weeks ago. I went by myself,
Mhm.
and every day I went to the restaurant, the bar. I sat at the bar even if I wasn't drinking, just because I was by myself. It's easy to get a sitting, and I will be like, "Ooh, excited!" And I
Mhm.
swear I was excited. I wonder who's gonna sit next to me, because
Yeah.
I know there is a reason. There has to be a
Mhm.
meaningful reason why someone is gonna sit next to me. And I
Yeah.
met the most amazing people. And, and,
Mhm.
and when it's like, what is that next step? Small. And it's like, rather than, well, I didn't get what I wanted, is
Mhm.
what did I really get? Like,
Yeah.
how does that add to that 1% that
Mhm.
I needed to be able to find the next stepping stone?
Right. Yeah, and that's really what happened. I mean, I love meeting people because I feel the same way. It's not a coincidence. So, Create Along started from a business partnership that has since ended, but that woman helped me to create, this beautiful business that I now have. And then as things were sort of winding down in that relationship, I met another person
Mhm.
and I knew I wanted to coach because I've experienced this big arc of transformation in my own self. I mean, I didn't set out to create this particular business. I just knew from when I was a little girl that I was going to work for myself.
Mhm.
I couldn't imagine what it would be like to have a job. And even though I had quite a few of them, I'm happy to work for me. And now that I've had that transformation for myself, I want to help other people who want to do that. But I also knew I didn't want to start like a coaching program or make a course or whatever. I just didn't know what it was going to be. And I joined someone else's little art group. because I knew part of my transition was going to be, I want to sell my art. Like I made that painting. I want to sell my own art now because my business is about selling art supplies for other people to make art. And I joined a little group called the High Vibe Art Tribe that was women learning how to sell their art. And the person who runs that group, Jessica, she was teaching mindset. And I contacted her after I joined and I said, I don't know if this is for me because I am a mindset coach. I don't really need that part. Right. So I left the group. And then she popped up a couple weeks later teaching something that I really wanted to learn. And I came back into her inbox and I said, I want to rejoin. So
With
she
his
said,
tail between
okay,
your legs.
come on. She said, come on back in. So then I learned the thing that she was teaching, and then I started helping people in the group because she was doing mindset and not really interested in the technical part of running an online business. And that is where I have a whole bunch of knowledge and skill. So people who were having tech issues, I was helping them. And then she invited me to be the tech coach in her group. And I said, of course, yes, I want to do this, and now her business has expanded like exponentially, and I'm part of that. And one of the things that came from this work relationship was like, I really respect her and I like her and she's awesome. We're soul sisters, and she decided like one day she woke up and said, I want to publish a book. It was because she's a very, sparkly, fast moving unicorn type of a person. And she just said, yesterday I was doing art coaching. Today I'm opening a publishing company. I said, okay, so I became one of the co-authors in this book called The Creative Life Book.
I love it.
And the little subtitle is Reflections on the Art of Living a Fully Expressed Life. And, I already have a best-selling book in the polymer clay niche that was published in 2013. And that has gotten me podcast interviews. And I was on my local TV show actually pretty recently on River City Live here in Jacksonville, and got to show off like my book and my art supplies and all that kind of fun stuff. And books like that can open doors. So I said, you know what? I want to be in a creativity book, really, because that's my jam. And Carmen, you said that you're not creative, and I'm going to have to challenge you on that. Because people say they're not creative, but what they really mean is I'm not an artist.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. The brush and the painting, it's not my suit, but I definitely channel creativity. I'm actually going to be part of a chapter book myself. And I literally wrote the entire thing on an airplane in 3 hours. I had no idea what I wrote. I gave it to my publisher, and I was like, she's like, well, can you tell me a little bit about it? I'm like, no, I have no idea what I wrote, and I don't want to read it because I don't want to make any corrections. It came straight from source. I was really nervous because I'm like, it's probably not good, right? Imposter syndrome. It happens to all of us, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, it's perfect. It flows. Like I have nothing to like add other than you need to cut 300 words. But yes, thank you. Yes, we all, everyone suffers with imposter syndrome at some point. And yes, that's a story I probably shouldn't be telling myself, which is, yes, I am creative in different ways than you are. But I want to hear about the book. I just want to take a little commercial break really quick, and then let's talk about the book. Maybe you can tell us what's on it. So we'll be back in a second. Hey there! Looking for a breakthrough in your life journey? Well, I got great news for you. As a certified master intuitive coach and master energy healer, I can guide you and support you in unleashing your full potential. Let's work together to identify those subconscious blocks that are keeping you stuck, remove any emotional barrier, and reprogram the limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck into empowering ones. With my help, let's reframe your story for success and replenish yourself with light and love. You don't have to go through this alone anymore. Let's discover what's holding you back and make lasting changes in your life today. Go to the link below at carmenmentor.com to learn more about my coaching services and to schedule a complimentary consult with me today. Remember, it is time for transformation, and I'm so happy to be here to help you make it happen. So, welcome back. So, we're talking about your book, and I am so intrigued about what is your chapter about, and yeah, what I don't know if you can tell us a little bit about it. Maybe read us a little bit of it.
Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to say when let's just talk about manifesting and stuff for a second, because my favorite number is 23,
Mhm.
right? Always has been. It's my birthday. For a number of reasons, it's just my favorite number, right? So when I wrote my chapter, I had one of the things that happened was the book coach called each of us just to make sure that we understood the requirements and everything was going to happen on time, because we actually, the idea for the book and the publishing of the book, it was 4 weeks, so it happened really fast. So when I was talking to the book coach, she was like, I know you know what to do. Let's just make sure you're going to be on deadline. And I said, I don't really know what I'm going to write about. I just know I want to be in this book. So it was similar for me, right? I just channeled it and said, okay, good. I'm done. It's the right number of words. Here's my link and my headshot. Have a great time. And, submit. And, I didn't worry about it. I didn't second guess it. Um, I didn't ask for any revisions. They said, what like chapter heading do you think you want to be under? Because they were offering 5. I said, put it where you think it's best. I don't care. You're going to do great. Well, so when I opened the book, my chapter is chapter 23.
Wow. Signs of the Universe, published in 2023 also.
Yes. Yes. So my chapter is called Daily Habits Support a Creative Life. And I'm going to read you the second paragraph, because the first one is just a little intro, right? But the second paragraph really talks about my whole philosophy on habits and how we reach where we're going. So it says, you might be encouraged along the way to make bold moves, take big risks, and stop playing small. And that's a thing that people say, right? But I know from the life I've lived that it's the small, daily, almost microscopic thoughts, actions, choices, and movements that actually create change.
Beautiful. That is so impactful right there. That's the formula, people. That's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Little steps every day. Right.
Yes. Because I mean, it is true that you can make a big transformation quickly if you do a big thing like moving across the country or quitting your job and when you don't have one lined up, or, things like that. But those can feel really scary. And they tend to produce a lot of change fast just because it's a lot of change fast, right? But
Well, let me just interrupt you there for a second, because I did quit my job last year.
ah,
And and I a lot of people ask me all the time, it's like, how do I do that? Well, it didn't happen overnight.
mhm,
I been thinking about it for a while. I had a plan. I wrote my resignation letter 9 months before it happened. My
mhm,
favorite number happens to be 2, which is also my birthday. So I relate to this story. And so I dated my resignation letter December 2nd,
mhm,
2022. I happened to quit earlier because that's the way the universe happened. Everything
mhm,
lined up. But I agree. It's not everything, what people saw was I just quit.
mhm,
No, I've been working on myself. I've been putting the pieces together every day. What needs to happen? What's the 1%? What's the daily habit? How I can take small steps to get to the big, giant bungee jumping. Let me build a parachute, hopefully, while I'm jumping, because I have no plan B.
right, right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So the it's the little, but when you decided that you were going to do it, that's in one way, that's the big step,
Yes.
right? And then all you still have to support yourself throughout the whole process of actually getting it done.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of research done about habits and habit forming and how our brains are so wired to keep us safe, right? And also to reduce the workload on your thought process.
Mhm.
So 45% of everything you do every day is actually habit or ritual. And the problem with that is that if you don't intentionally create or choose those habits, then life will choose them for you. But either way, you're going to stay in the rut of the habit unless you intentionally choose to get out of it.
Do you realize that the podcast is called Living Intentionally?
Yes.
I mean, because no, I'm being a little funny here because
Mhm.
that's it, right?
Yeah.
One day I woke up and I said, I am done with letting conditions, rules, and expectations outside of myself dictate how do I live my life, how I'm supposed to feel, how I'm supposed to act. Just like the Matrix, like the movie, for those of us that are old enough to know what that is. I'm like, I am taking the red pill today. And
Yeah.
I'm every day going to choose intentionally what my life is going to look like.
Yeah. It's so important because like every motion you make is a choice. And my question is always, did you choose that or did it choose you?
Mm, I like that.
Hmm. And I love asking people questions to spark their feelings about that because if you didn't choose it, then you probably are choosing it based on what someone told you, what you heard, what your parents told you. I mean, we're programmed at birth, to have our religious affiliation, our economic thoughts,
Right.
it's just all of that stuff. So when you become an adult, then you have to decide, you know, are these choices that were made for me still the right choice for me?
Mm-hmm.
So that, then you can do all different kinds of things to examine your values and,
Yeah.
create change, but it's still going to be the little tiny things every single day. And someone, I just feel like you can look at yourself and your life and everything, and you can see what those choices are. It's evident. It's kind of like stamped on your life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. One of the things I like to do, and this happened after one of my traumatic events that we can talk about it another day, but like I had done enough work on myself to recognize at that moment, wow, look what you manifested. What kind of vibration are you living in? What kind of
Mhm.
thoughts are you having every day? Because I
Yeah.
don't want this, but it came not by luck, not by chance, not because poor little Carmen, the universe doesn't like me, or God just turned their back on me. No, it shows me because I'm attracting it
Mhm.
that way, and so it's time to clean it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like right now, I'm actually under contract for a house, which is really,
Yay!
really
Congrats.
exciting. And I feel like the manifestation of this particular home situation and everything is lifelong. I
Mm,
mean, everything's been leading me to
mhm,
this,
mhm,
from thoughts I had when I was a little girl to things I experienced when I was in my 20s to, the relationships and things that happened in my 30s and 40s. And now I'm about to turn 50 this month, and I'm going to be settling into like the home of my dreams. So I still don't even know what it's going to look like a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, but I know that the foundation is there for all the things I've been dreaming of my whole life. So it's still the little things, right? It's still the tiny little things. Um, it's just making choices every day. And I love it. I love how it all comes together.
yes. So, is there something that? people can, like, some practical steps? Like, let's pretend that I recognize that I have to change my habits and I don't have any idea how to start. Is there
Mm.
any practical thing that we can share
Hmm.
with the audience to help them get going in that direction?
Sure. I always suggest journaling,
Hmm.
and that's a big focus for me in this chapter. I'll talk about it. So, of course, you can find this book, and I'm sure Carmen will put a link for you.
All the links for Kira.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a lot of people say you should have a morning routine, and I agree, but I don't think that you should have someone else's morning routine. I think you should have yours.
Hmm.
So I talk a little bit about how to make yourself a morning routine and things you could try. And the very first thing is get yourself a notebook and a pen. You don't journal on the computer. There's something about kinetic writing, actually touching pen to paper or pencil to paper, that helps your brain process better. So I'm not talking about, writing down what you ate or what you're doing today. That's more of a diary. I'm talking about writing what's in your head. And a lot of times you'll be surprised. And if you don't know what to write, just start a sentence that says, I don't know what to write, but I'm open to receiving ideas, and keep repeating that until something else comes out onto the page. Because we're in our heads a lot. And the process of just saying, I don't know what to write, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I will keep doing it until you tell me what needs to come out, it'll come out.
Yes.
And then you can, and if it's between you and the page, or you and whoever you want to be speaking to or with while you're doing this process, but it will help you figure out, like, the gunk. It kind of gets you unstuck from your regular thoughts when you just write things down. And you don't even have to look at it again afterwards. I,
Healing just by putting it out, just by getting it
yeah.
out of your head, through your body. I absolutely agree with Kira. And I love the part that you said, make it your own, because what
Hmm.
works for Carmen and Kira might not work for, Susie. Like,
Hmm.
I know for me, I need to shower before I journal.
Hmm.
Water for me is activating. And so my journaling process starts in the shower. And I literally go from that. I get dressed and then I grab my journal. In my
Hmm.
journal, I love this thing. It's an electronic thing, but
Gotcha.
I am doing the motion.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, it's like, before I tried to do it before I took a shower and nothing was happening. And then
Hmm.
one day I just switched things around. I was like, oh yeah, this is the way I'm supposed to do it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I've tried, because I'm an entrepreneur and I like to look into all these different methods and whatever. There's so many different methods for having a morning routine, and I was doing someone else's version of it, and then and I just felt like I was caged into this morning routine that didn't work for me. So I have a routine, but it might change every day. I mean, it
Mhm.
always involves taking my dogs out because they need to use the potty, and standing in my backyard and breathing in the fresh air, because I've been sleeping in the house the whole time and I'm an outdoor type of person. Like to look at the sky. And then I have to have a hot drink, but I don't drink coffee every morning. Sometimes I drink tea. It's like I let my morning routine flow, but writing, moving, and having a hot drink are part of my morning routine,
Mhm.
right? So finding what works for you. And then I notice if I don't do those things that I'm a little off.
Mhm.
So it's all these things that just kind of set you up to have a good day.
Mhm.
That's what I'm.
And it's two things I want to say about that. First, why morning routine and not evening routine? Because
Mm,
if you can put yourself in a high vibrational state at the beginning of your day,
mhm,
you're almost guaranteeing that your day is going to go amazing, right?
mhm,
Sure, an evening routine works too, but you're going to sleep, so you're already going to be in a high vibrational state when you go to sleep, right? So
mhm,
it loses a little bit of their amplifier power if you do it later in the day.
mhm,
And the other thing I wanted to say is, have compassion with yourself, in the sense that, life happens. And if
mhm,
you didn't do it today, It's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like I find a lot of people like, well, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to do it every day because blah 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 blah. We all have
Mhm.
excuses. And my take to that is you gotta start. And if
Yeah.
start means once a week, then start. And
Mhm.
then you can increase it. It's like it's a muscle, right? Then it's like, okay, I can do it once a week. It didn't kill me. The reason you're putting resistance is because there's something is triggering your fight or flight. It's like, well, I don't know about these things. I want to uncover some very deep emotions that I don't want to deal with. That's really
Mhm.
what's happening in your head. That's why you're bringing up the list of all the things that you have to do.
Mhm.
Um, but if you give it a chance and make it whatever it is, movement, I think I find for me, movement is very important too. And I mean, I live in Alaska. I cannot go for a walk every day, but I can crank the radio and put salsa and dance,
Mhm.
right? Anytime. Yoga sometimes. Meditation is key for me. I just have to sit under my pyramid and
Mhm.
meditate. But you got to find what it works. That's the
Yeah.
key there. Find what works for you and give it a chance, is what I would say.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then, say I getting back to like the little topic of saying yes, be open.
Mhm.
Be open to what comes up because it's a lot of times we get blocked by saying no, I can't do that or another thing that I say is like we should all over ourselves, and the should word is just not
Oof, rules are not good.
conducive,
Mhm.
to personal growth because if you're saying you should, I should have or whatever, then that's judgment. So say yes without judging yourself. If something
Yes.
sounds amazing and it's not going to hurt you or someone else, then try it. Let it in, because all these things that I've accomplished has just been from saying yes. Somebody asks me for something, and I'm not saying don't have boundaries, right? Because I'm not
Yeah,
saying
there's
say
a
yes.
difference. There's a
Yeah,
difference.
like don't say yes if you actually want to say no. But if it's exciting, but
Mhm.
you're just not sure if you can do it,
Mhm.
say yes and see what happens.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. And I agree. Opportunities are always showing up in your life.
Hmm.
I mean, Tony Robbins, I think he says there is opportunities are like buses in a bus stop, right? Every 15 minutes, there's a new one coming.
Yep.
You just need to get in the bus.
Hmm.
You need to say yes to the opportunity.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't show up the way you think it's going to show up.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's like, well, I wanted to go this way, but maybe you need to meet this person before so you can have that connection. Maybe you need to have these lessons, or maybe you need to have this experience so you can transform someone's life. Just trust the universe. It's orchestrating itself for you every day. So
Hmm.
I love this conversation.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you would like to leave our listeners with? Because I know they should go get the book, read the chapter. There is many amazing authors besides Kira there. So
Hmm.
I love chapter books for that reason because there's so many perspective, right, that you can
Yes.
get in one single book. But there is anything else like you want to leave the audience with?
Carmen, I don't know. The just the stuff you just said about opportunity is really the whole thing. I mean, it's just everything that drives me has to do with seizing opportunity,
Mhm.
and not being afraid. Your life, yes, your life could change if you say yes to something, but wouldn't it be amazing to see how your life will change?
Yes, yes, yes. So let's
Yes.
end with that. Yes, let's end with a big yes. I love it.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God. Thank you so much, Kira, for being here with us today. It has been amazing to reconnect with you. I mean, was it like what, 2000? It was like a while ago
Yeah, I think we met
when
in
we met.
2020, right?
Yes, yes. And I'm so glad to see everything you're doing, to learn more of your story, and to have you here so you can help me empower, the audience and with something so simple yet so powerful, like taking
Yes.
small steps and saying yes.
Yes, thanks for having me, Carmen.
Okay, beautiful. We'll see you next week in another episode of Living Intentionally. Bye bye.